to order, and people rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Unfortunately, Mr. Tickle could not be with us today, so we'll just have a moment of silence. Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please, Beth.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Councilmember Yates?
Present.
Councilmember Dickey?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Leger? Councilmember Hanson? Councilmember Elke? Councilmember Brown?
Here.
We have a proclamation for Play Day. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas play is a crucial factor in the overall well-being of children, and whereas play spaces and playgrounds within walking distance of children's homes are missing from many communities and neighborhoods, and whereas unstructured, unplanned, spontaneous, and self-motivated play is on the decline, and whereas fewer children spend time outside at parks and playgrounds, and whereas recess is being shortened or removed from school curriculums, and whereas children who play are healthier and suffer less obesity and obesity-related health problems such as diabetes and heart disease, and whereas children who play do better in school and develop cognitive skills that are linked to learning and academic performance, and whereas children can play, learn, and social skills that help them become happy and well-adjusted adults, and whereas parents, schools, child care centers, nonprofit organizations, businesses, churches, synagogues, mosques, and all interested parties wish to raise this community's children to become healthy, happy, and successful adults. Now, therefore, I, Linda M. Kavanaugh, Mayor of the Town of Fountain Hills, Arizona, do hereby proclaim September 15, 2012, as Play Day in the Town of Fountain Hills, Arizona. And I urge all citizens to celebrate Play Day and support efforts to build and maintain play spaces and playgrounds in their communities and neighborhoods. Further, I urge all citizens to continue to support and maintain play spaces and playgrounds for the well-being of this and future generations. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause to be effect the official seal of the Town of Fountain Hills, Maricopa County, Arizona, this day of September 2012. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Okay. All right, then we'll go right to the consent agenda items. I will read items 1 to 5. Number 1, consideration of approving the Town Council meeting minutes from August 16, 2012. Number 2, consideration of Resolution 2012-07, accepting a traffic signal easement agreement with MCL Properties and authorizing the town manager to sign this document. Number 3, consideration of Resolution 2012-24, accepting a sidewalk easement agreement with MCL Properties and authorizing the town manager to sign this document. Number 4, consideration of approving a special event liquor license application submitted by William Lionel Paju, representing the Fountain Hills Elks, number 2846, for the purpose of a fundraiser to be held September 22nd from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. Number 5 is consideration of approving a special event liquor license application submitted by Samuel D. Coffey, representing the Sons of Ambeth Squadron Number 7 for the purpose of a fundraiser to be held during the Oktoberfest celebration at Fountain Park, September 28th and 29th from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. May I have a motion to approve and a second?
Second.
Deb, do we have any speaker cards on
No,
this?
Mayor.
Then I would like a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Yates?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson? Vice Mayor Lachey? Councilmember Dickey? Councilmember Elke? Councilmember Brown? Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Mayor 7-0.
Let's have our regular agenda item, number 6, consideration with possible direction to staff to authorize an unbudgeted expenditure in the amount of $28,017.21 to the Arizona Department of Water Resources for the municipality fee for fiscal year 2011-12, which was tabled at the August 2nd, 2012 Town Council meeting. Ken, please.
Mayor Kavanaugh, members of council. December 1st, 2011, staff presented to Town Council information regarding the town's obligation for the water use fee imposed by the town, on the town by the Department of Water Resources in the amount of $28,017.21. The authority for the fee was given by to ADWR by Senate Bill 1624, which is the Environmental Budget Reconciliation Bill. Attorney General's office recently submitted a demand letter to the town of Fountain Hills on August 15th for payment for the ADWR fee. It's staff recommendation to approve the ADWR fee in the amount of $28,017.21.
Thank you, Ken. And I just wanted to remind everyone that if you look in the package, you will see a copy of that letter if you would like to read it. May I request a motion? Speaker card. You do have a speaker card? Oh, I'm sorry. Is that Linda?
Linda Bardo?
Yeah, I just want to encourage the council to please pay this. It not only came from the Attorney General's office, it came from the Bankruptcy and Collection Department of the Attorney General's office. It just doesn't look good. Can we just pay it and move on, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Anybody else?
No, Mayor.
Is there any discussion on this?
Mayor,
Yes.
as we all agreed, that we were not in favor of this and felt the law was bad, but I respected and honored the council's decision to table this, but I took a proactive approach and made some phone calls to our representation at the state legislature and the state senate. I also spoke with Brian Townsend, the senior policy advisor with the state legislature. Basically, I would like to propose that, yes, we pay the bill, but ask that we put this off to our next budgeted fiscal year. Being that this is an unbudgeted item, it's going to come from somewhere, and I know we were discussing taking it out of wash maintenance or some other. No? Did you have? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Members of the council, it's from the Development Services Department, and it's from last year's budget. It will come from that department. It won't come from the wash maintenance from this year's budget that we're in.
Okay.
So we're covered for that.
So, Mayor, again to ask, so we're saying it is budgeted, it's a carried over, even though it's written as unbudgeted, this would not affect our fiscal, okay. Never mind.
Anyone else?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'll move to approve the expenditure of $28,017.21 to Office of Attorney General. I guess this doesn't go to ADWR, so to the Office of the Arizona Attorney General's office for payment of the DWR water fee.
I'll second.
And no other speaker cards. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Any council discussion?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, Councilman Lejay.
just kind of bring this all to a close. I do have a few closing comments I'd like to make. As you know, for those of that have paid attention to this, this is something that we've been discussing for a number of meetings. And for me, as I've stated in the past, this whole thing was a matter of principle and policy. The intent of my actions as we dialogued around this matter was simply to send a message to our local legislators that enough is enough, that passing unfunded mandates to cover state expenses is just really over the top. I'm hoping folks at our legislature will think twice about overreaching and superseding local municipal governance and decision-making authority, and to stop balancing the state budget on the backs of municipalities. It goes without saying that as a council, we already have our challenges, significant challenges annually in terms of balancing our own budget. I'm hopeful that our expressed concerns in this matter strike a chord among our local state representatives. Of course, only time will tell. But I hope that our legislators once again think long and hard in acting preserving local control and autonomy for Arizona towns and cities as we move forward. This evening, we have a motion on the table. We're facing with addressing a demand from the Attorney General's office for the town of Fountain Hills either to pay the $28,000 billed from the Arizona Department of Water Resources or to face legal action. It's tempting for myself, and I've thought about this long and hard, to continue to push back. However, at the end of the day, litigation will only cost our taxpayers more than what we are looking at, an unfunded mandate. It's time to close the book on this matter and pay this unfunded mandate and move on. Thank you, Mike.
Anyone else?
With this, for me, it was greatly with principle. When we first received the bill, I was a little dismayed because there was no additional service that was being offered. And at no time, I want to make clear, at no time has this council, in my opinion at least, broken any laws, violated any oath, or done anything unethical. What we've done is we've tabled a matter on 3 separate occasions so that we can investigate it further and look into it more and get legal counsel and to speak with other cities and towns as well. For me as well, when I looked at this, as far as my ultimate decision on this, certainly you don't want to spend a lot of money defending something. We're talking about $28,000, and whether it was $2,000 or even $200, again, it is the principle of it. As the last town within Arizona we're the last one standing, so to speak, and I think we've made our position known. I think we've stood up for the residents of the town of Fountain Hills, and I certainly hope they understand. And I think if you look at the history of the discussion about this, you'll be very clear as far as why we took the position that we did. And at no time, again, were any laws broken or any thing unethical, at least in my opinion, that was done. I do agree that it is time to move on with this as well. I certainly don't want to incur thousands of dollars in legal litigation and spending more taxpayer money. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Dickey?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I agree with my colleagues over there, and I appreciate that day and that we put this back on the agenda as soon as we could. So busy, and we were bullied again, first by the League with a letter, by a Senate President through a newspaper threat, and now through AG Tom Horn. So I know that we will acquiesce as Bisbee had to acquiesce. As you said, we tried to hold our town harmless. And by pursuing this suspect, and I do believe this is a suspect collection notice, pursuing it legally would harm our town financially. So I would agree with my colleagues there that we wouldn't want to do that. It would undo the good we were trying to do. But I want to be clear that this grandstanding thing has not alarmed me or us, I don't believe, or intimidated us. I think they're covering up for their lawmaking mistake by going on the offensive this way. I don't know why the AG was involved. I don't know why he got involved so quickly. It seemed to escalate from a rent due to a eviction notice without any direct communication from the state. We had a third-party letter from the League of Cities and Towns, and then we had to be aware enough to read a newspaper article to get to see the expression of outrage from the legislature. So it seems like it went straight to this final notice to the AG, and I'm just thinking that judging from some of the things that have been in the paper recently, that he would have more to worry about than trying to get $28,000 out of our residents in our community. You know, we're tired. We've just been exhausted by the endless fund sweeps, the mandates to our business, mandating political signs everywhere. People complain about them and they're upset, and it was something thrust upon us to force us to allow fireworks or to sell fireworks. You know, the list goes on and on. They even had our own brand of voter manipulation here in Fountain Hills. So it's disheartening to have these things happen to you. I, again, like Henry said, urge our representatives to feel like they do represent their entire constituency. And to do that myself here in this position, I'll be voting to pay.
Councilman Brown?
Thank you, Mayor. I have to agree with what's been stated tonight, and I just want to emphasize one more time that it's not the council that's going to be paying this bill, it's the citizens. And I'm rather proud to be on the council that had the backbone to stand up as long as we did until we were beaten down by the state, telling them this is a broken law and we shouldn't be paying it. And so with that being said, I too will be voting to pass it, but with regret for the citizens of Fountain Hills.
Okay, I was one of the two people who advocated to pay for this bill from the very beginning. This had been tabled several times before I became mayor. One of my considerations was that how much it was going to cost us to fight this. It was pretty clear that we were either going to lose state shared revenue or we were going to be sued by the state. Even though I didn't like paying the bill, I thought that for the taxpayer it was the best thing to pay it and then move on, like all the other cities and towns had done. I also had a very long discussion with Ken Sobek last week at League of Cities and discussed the issue with him. I thanked him for going to bat for us. League of Cities is our lobbyist group that goes to the legislature and tries to get things like this repealed if they feel that it's detrimental to the cities and towns. He did go to bat for us. He got 45 legislators to sign on to repeal this. At that point, the money had already been distributed to ADWR, and there were only 3 cities, us, South Tucson, and Bisbee, who had to pay. So it looked like it was going to be a fight that we were going to lose. We were going to incur attorney's fees on our side, plus because of a new bill that was passed by the legislature, when one government entity sues another, if we had lost, and it looked to me like we would have lost, we would have had to pay their attorney's fees also. So for the taxpayer, I made the decision that regardless of whether I felt this was unfair, I knew that they were going to do something, whether it's take our state shared revenue or sue us, and something would be forthcoming. That's the reason that I advocated to pay the bill. I would just suggest that we reach out to our legislators rather than constantly criticizing them, to discuss these issues before they get to this point. League of Cities, at our conference last week, there were lots of resolutions that were brought up that were discussed. Those resolutions are possibly going to the legislature to become bills. We need to keep up with the league and follow each issue so that we can stop something like this before it reaches this point. I urge us to reach out to our 2 state representatives and to our senator whenever we feel that Fountain Hills is in jeopardy. Is there any other discussion? And if there is a last-minute speaker card?
Linda Bardot?
Yes, Linda. I'm sorry.
Very quick one. to not be repetitive, I just want to express my appreciation to Henry for summarizing my sentiments exactly. Very nicely.
Linda?
Thank you, everyone, again. I wanted to just let everyone know, this is the importance of why making of laws is so important, that people have input, because most laws have unintended consequences. This was not, in my opinion, a great law. We probably shouldn't have had to pay this. It doesn't apply to our town, but therefore it is the law. And we're a nation of laws, and we have to follow those laws. I don't necessarily feel as though the state bullied us. It's a law. I don't think that you broke the law, but that's part of what infuriates a lot of Americans and excites a lot of Americans at the same time when they watch the sausage being made. It's like that line from The Firm. You can push the law as far as you can without breaking it, and I think that's what happened. You guys gave yourselves enough time and tabled and tabled and tabled, and it's a year later. And now the law kicks in, and the remittance from the Attorney General from the Corrections Department appeared. So we kind of had to pay that. That's the law. I think if you had broken the law, either Mr. McGuire or Mr. Elsie, I think that's cause for disbarment, so I don't think that you would do that. By the same token, I just want to emphasize again, this is the importance of being careful when you pass laws because of the unintended consequences. And I want to echo what Mayor Kavanaugh said. It is vitally important that you do pay attention. America, a quote from another favorite movie, The American President, is advanced citizenship. You have to get involved and make your voice heard when you think something is not going the way you want it to. You know, I'm here a lot. I have a lot of things I could do on a Thursday night, but I'm, involved in and want to make a difference in our society. So that's why I show up here Tuesday or Thursday after Thursday. And I encourage those of you at home that have an issue to send letters to the council, send letters to the representatives so we can, as the mayor said, stop this type of legislation before it happens. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. All right, we have a motion and a second.
Another comment. I think it's important, and I'm very familiar with laws, and I realize we're a nation of laws, but I think that it's very important. Certainly we could have paid this months ago, 8 months ago, 9 months ago. And I think it was only continued one time before we had the changeover as far as the administration is concerned. It's important, I think, not to just roll over on things when you take a stand on something, whether it is a law that's in place that was subsequently repealed when a legislature says we made a mistake, essentially, and you take a stand on something. It wasn't just that we were sticking our thumb in the eye of the legislature. We were investigating whether or not our legislators would, or some legislators would, take up the mantle, present a bill to make it retroactive to all those cities and towns that probably after the fact realized, we probably shouldn't have paid this. And for our legislators to look at this and say, well, maybe we can make this retroactive, maybe present a bill to do something along those lines so that the city and our residents wouldn't have to pay this particular tax. And I can't emphasize enough, when you see something that's unjust and you're presented with it, you have to take a stand. And yes, I agree, we pushed it to the point that we are right now, make the decision that we're going to make tonight, and I think it's important. I think it's important that we took the stand that we did, and we do have a representative form of government. We expect that those that we elect, those sitting at this dais, and those sitting down at the House, and those in the governor's office, and the president, and the House and Senate, to represent the interests. And you don't have the ability to follow every single bill that goes through. That's why it's a full-time job. But that being said, when something comes up after the fact, you do have opportunity to take a stand. You have opportunity to protest, and I think that's what we did, and I think we did that effectively. And I think we were heard. Thank you.
Well, I will respectfully disagree that we rolled over. Before I was mayor, this was protested, and the league, this town went to the league and said, please go and fight for us and get this law changed. The league did do that. They fought for us. They fought for the other cities and towns. They got the best deal that they could get. They got it repealed. And how did we thank them? We turned on the league. Now, we need them. We need their support in the legislature also. So I think that we won when the league got this repealed. And I think at that point we had made our statement that we didn't like this, and we should have just paid it at that point. Anyone else? Yes, Councilman.
A couple things, thank you, Mayor. First, the idea that we don't follow or have input, we certainly did. But let's just take the voting one, the voter change. We voted on this at this dais unanimously to oppose it. We had individual letters, I had individual letters to legislators saying, we don't want to change when we want to vote. We want all mail-in ballots. We want to do it in the spring. They said no. I worked following bills for 10 years. I know how to follow bills, and I do. And just because you know about something ahead of time doesn't change what's going to happen. And we all know what happened with 1462 on the last day of session with absolutely nobody knowing about it. And you know, I just really want to let this go, but the fact that that had to be repealed was because our legislators, our representatives, made it a permanent strike everything bill at the last, after it had gone through the process. Nothing would have had to be appealed. It was a one-year deal. So after it was a one-year deal, it got over to the House. It got changed to be permanent. That was what was reversed. What was specifically done by our own representative was the thing that had to be reversed. So, okay, that happened. But when we continue to keep hearing that we didn't have input, we didn't follow it, we didn't have our eye on the ball, this stuff is just not true. They didn't do what we asked them to do, which often happens, and that's fine. But now our reaction to that was, well, let's find out another way to see if this will change again. Put another bill in next year that makes it not only that we don't have to pay in the future, but that, yes, this was a bad bill, take it away. That didn't happen. Obviously, the league wasn't going to pursue something like that. This isn't a league. It's not to be against the league, but I think that when you tout something as an accomplishment, that you didn't get your state shared revenues cut, that's a little bit hard to take as an accomplishment. We're not supposed to get our state revenues cut. They're not their revenue. It's our town's revenue. Our taxpayers pay it. Then according to the population, it gets doled out. I don't understand why that is not clear. It's not their money to dole out. And then to say it's a big accomplishment to not get it cut. And yes, so thankfully we only have to pay $28,000. It just doesn't wash. So I agree, we have to pay it now. I don't agree that this notice was anything more than, I think one time Kate said the word saber rattling, because I don't even know what legal right there was there. We never got another bill. We never were told, if you don't this. It went from read the newspaper, get a letter from the league, to this. So, but is it worth really checking that out? No, it isn't. And I agree with that. And we're paying it, and we'll be done with it. But let's just tell the truth.
As far as making some impact, last week during Riga Cities, I did attend the resolutions committee, and I had the opportunity to speak for Fountain Hills on 19 resolutions that the league was putting together that they were going to turn into bills, requests for bills, to the legislature. I had the opportunity among all the other mayors of the other cities and towns to voice my opinion to the league on whether I wanted them to pursue it. I was successful in knocking down a couple of them that would have been detrimental, I thought, to Fountain Hills. There was also some drastic changes made to some, others were combined, others were dropped. I think that was a very successful session, and those are the kind of things that we start to do. Some of those bills, if I hadn't been there, may have been passed on to the legislature, and then we would have been fighting them after the fact. So we start now, we look at what's coming up, and we do our best to contact our legislators, to stay in touch with the league, and fight for Fountain Hills before things like this happen. Now I have a motion and a second. I'd like to call for the vote. Roll call vote, please. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Hanson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Lejeune?
Aye.
Councilmember Dickey?
Aye.
Councilmember Yates?
Aye?
Councilmember Elsie?
Aye.
Councilmember Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Mayor 7-0.
All right, and we'll go on to 10.
I have nothing, Mayor Kavanaugh.
Okay. And what about on number 8, summary of the council report. Do you have anything on that? No? Okay, then I would ask for a motion to adjourn. And a second? And all in favor?
Aye.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.